South Africa, the late 19th century, a land of rolling hills, vast gold and diamond reserves, and two fiercely independent Boer republics. The Second Boer War, fought from 1899 to 1902, wasn't just about territory. It was a battle of cultures, strategies, and a foreshadowing of modern warfare. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's deep dive into history. And we're going to. The roots of the Second Boer War stretch back decades. The Boers, descendants of Dutch settlers, had established to independent republics, the South African Republic, often called the Transvaal, and the Orange Free State. They were fiercely proud of their independence and way of life. But then came the British. Why one word? Resources. The discovery of gold in the Transvaal in 1886 made South Africa one of the richest places on Earth. Suddenly, the British Empire, already controlling the Cape Colony and Natal, had their eyes set on the Boer territories. But it wasn't just about gold. It was about control. The British wanted a united South Africa under their rule. The Boers wanted none of it. And so, tension simmered for years. In 1895, things escalated with the Jameson Raid, failed British-backed attempt to overthrow the Boer government in the Transvaal. Although it was a disaster, it set the tone. The British were not going to let the Boers be. By 1899, negotiations had collapsed. The Boers issued an ultimatum. The British had to withdraw troops from their borders. When the British refused, war broke out. The war started with a bang. The Boers, using their knowledge of the land and guerrilla tactics, struck first, laying siege to British-held towns like Ladysmith, Kimberley, and Mafeking. These weren't small skirmishes. They were drawn-out, brutal sieges. At first, the British underestimated the Boers. They thought these farmers, armed mostly with hunting rifles, would be no match for the mighty British Army. They were wrong. In 1900, the tide began to turn. Britain sent over 400,000 troops, far more than the Boers could muster. Cities like Bloemfontein, Pretoria, and Johannesburg fell one by one. But the Boers didn't give up. They shifted tactics, abandoning large battles for guerrilla warfare. They struck supply lines, ambushed patrols, and melted back into the landscape. The British were frustrated and responded harshly. This brings us to one of the darkest chapters of the war, the concentration camps. To break the Boers' resistance, the British adopted a scorched earth policy. Farms were burned, crops destroyed, and livestock slaughtered. Boer families, women, children, and the elderly were rounded up and placed in concentration camps. Conditions in these camps were horrific. Over 26,000 Boer civilians died, most of them children, from disease and starvation. This wasn't just a war between soldiers. It became a war against entire communities. By 1902, the Boers were exhausted. They couldn't match the British resources or manpower. On May 31, 1902, the Treaty of Vereniging was signed. The Boer republics became part of the British Empire, but with promises of eventual self-governance. The Second Boer War changed everything. For Britain, it was a costly victory that exposed the vulnerabilities of an empire stretched thin. For the Boers, it was a tragedy but also a lesson in resilience. And for the world, it was a warning. This war introduced concentration camps, guerrilla tactics, and modern industrial warfare, elements that would shape the conflicts of the 20th century. History isn't just about battles and treaties. It's about understanding how the past shapes the present. The Second Boer War was a turning point not just for South Africa, but for colonial history. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that make us who we are. Need to add specific visuals or focus more on certain aspects of the war?